Part 3 of my deep dive into the Sound of Freedom movie. In parts 1 and 2, we discussed the issues with the movie itself and some of the inaccuracies and the harm that can be caused. And I can understand after watching the first 2 parts that might not be enough for you to not see the movie, and that's okay. I just want people to have information, and information should never be a bad thing. But I can understand how, because child trafficking does sometimes happen, sort of somewhat in a way that the movie portrays, that hopefully, if nothing else, this movie is bringing up a lot of these conversations so people can talk about how it's really portrayed and it's on people's radar. My bigger issues are the culty ties, the people involved in the movie, the people who invested in the movie, and the money that is made from the movie, where that money goes, and how Operation Underground Railroad and Tim Ballard are portrayed as heroic and this good thing when there's a slew of issues there. At the end of this emotionally charged movie, they come on the screen and say a way that you can help end human trafficking is by paying it forward and buying tickets for other people to see this movie. I personally don't think that's the best call to action, but a lot of people are questioning. That's a part of the reason why the movie has been so successful, and people are questioning what is happening with that money. And it is possible that it's all paying for movie tickets, and that's fine and great, but it's all contributing to massive profits from the movie, and where are those profits going? The Sound of Freedom was made years ago, I believe back in 2018, and has been used for years as a way to generate donations and funding for Operation Underground Railroad. And it was picked up by Angel Studios to create this huge movie release. Angel Studios is connected to the Mormon Church, so money goes there. We'll talk about that in a later part. So I'm going to talk about just some of the issues with this organization, the main ones that keep being brought up over and over again. And I got my information from Lynn Packard, who's an investigator who has a bunch of YouTube videos on his deep dive into Underground Railroad and the people that they're tied to, as well as many articles and interviews that have been done with Vice News investigative journalists that have been reporting on Operation Underground Railroad since 2020. And also the Mormon Stories podcast. There are YouTube episodes of this, and on the podcast, they've interviewed Lynn Packard, and they've also interviewed some former employees of Operation Underground Railroad, and I've listened to some of those episodes as well. I encourage you to go watch and listen to all of these things because I cannot possibly give you all of this information in just a few parts on TikTok. But Operation Underground Railroad has been described by former employees as being very cult-like, and that starts from the very beginning of its origin. Its origin story of how Tim Ballard started Operation Underground Railroad is full of half-truths, or at least truths that can't really be verified, which is similar to basically every cult leader ever. And it's similar to literally every grifter ever. So come back for part 4 and we'll dive into the origin story and the other issues.